pretty similar. The formulas, you're going to have to use different functions, different operators, but you know how to deal with that. So let's go back to data view. Before we talk about some more advanced resources, let's talk about formula fields. Formula field is a field that is not permanent, it's not part of the database, but it behaves while you have the data view open. It behaves just like a field. So we can click here, the formula field, and let's make this space here that I have forgotten before. And let's say name distance. So I'm going to create a field that's called naming distance that will just give me the text. The length of this link is, and then the size of the link. That's okay. There we go. So you see that it's all green. When it's green, everything that appears in green in the data view is something that you cannot edit. That's the case of the IDs. That's right. Always in green, and this formula field always in green as well. So if I want to edit this one, I go again and formula fields. As for this guy, and then I can edit, do anything I want, or delete the field altogether. A pretty useful resource, and you can, let's go back with it, just for an example, and call this guy label. So we create it. We can go back to the map, for example, and create a label that is label. So as you see, each link would have, so we can have these formula fields working to help you do labels or anything else you want. Let's cancel. And as long as you save the map or save the data view, file, save data view, it's DVW, is the equivalent of the .map, your formula field is going to be saved. So let's now delete this formula field. Delete, yes, okay. And just refresh. Okay, there we go. We're back here. So now let's talk about selection. Well, in the link, for Miasma Beach, we have only a couple of links. So we're not really, we can't select by hand. Here we have too many links, so we can't really do it by hand. So let's clean this a little bit. ID and full name and county. And for example, let's say I want to see all the links that are on Heber City East, or better, on Cottonwood County. What I can do here is I can sort, look for Cottonwood, there we go, Cottonwood, and click here on the side to add them to selection. Well, it doesn't seem pretty smart, right? Because it's not. So the best way to do this is click on this little button on the selection box. If it's not open, you can come here in selection, selection, and select the condition. The same string that we had for data fields. Let's say, let's create the selection Cottonwood. There will be all the links that belong to Cottonwood. So Cottonwood, I want county to be equal to Cotton wood. I press OK, and immediately here I have the option. It will show up cottonwood. I had the standard selection or records cottonwood. Now I know I have only the selection of cottonwood. I can, for example, export this to make some analysis somewhere else, and I can format this independently. So if we come here, or if we go to the map and the selection settings, or click on this little icon here, for example, I'm gonna select cottonwood style, and for example, make it thick. I can reset, make it not different than the standard layer, and then I can just make it thick. Okay, really thick. So all the links in cottonwood are evidence now. With the selection, I can always delete the selection, press and drop. I can make it inactive, and I can make it invisible. When I press apply, you guys are going to see that all the links here are gone. And this is a pretty important resource. Sometimes you want to hide a link in a map just to highlight what you want. So you can select what you don't want to show, put in a selection, and make it invisible. If one link, one feature is more than in more than one selection, it's going to be formatted according to the last selection that contains it. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's just make it not formatted and but active. Another way of selecting it, you guys noticed that I had to, in order to get all the links in cottonwood, I had to do a tag to create a new field in the link layer, make a tag, and then select. If I don't want to do it, I can simply come here, selection, by location, and I'm selecting at the main roads, counties, based on the counties, selection, with selection. So here I would have to have a selection. Let's go back to the counties and manual selection, or let's use manual selection. Let's edit the selection. Let's rename it for cottonwood. Okay. Let's reset its formatting so it doesn't bother us. So now let's go back to main roads, data view, selection, location. So I want everything that is on the layer counties inside the selection cottonwood. That in this case is only that is just the cottonwood county. I can select everything that is touching, inside, not inside a thing, not a thing. Let's say touching. And let's create a selection set called cottonwood 2. And let's press OK. See that it changed a little bit of color here? So if we come here, we're going to have two different selection sets. You guys notice that they are different, and let's now find out why. Cottonwood 2, these guys show up. These three and these three. Let's find out. To find out what happened with it, we could just find them and see where they are. The problem The problem is for sure that these links have a little, probably a part inside the county, but they are mostly outside the county. So we use two different parameters, standards, two different procedures to create two different sets, and you have to decide which one you want to use. So that's all for now.